So I have background if anything goes wrong. Oh, we're good. We got it.
Yeah, all right.
We got it. So this is like this is like 4 years in the making. We met in like 2015, 16, around then in that group chat, no,
Yeah,
something
yeah,
like that.
something
And you,
like that.
yeah, and you had, you can stop me if you don't want to talk about this, but you had that project out um around that time, the one with Pink Sands on it, because I love that song.
Yeah, I
You know what
did.
I'm talking about?
The Artful Cancer. Yeah,
Yeah,
that came out
yeah.
20. That came out 2 years ago, maybe.
Okay. Is that still out there, or is that where's that at?
I think it's on my other SoundCloud, the Isaiah Blue SoundCloud. I keep changing my name, but like this one should stick for a while, I think.
How do you where did this name come from? The one you're using now.
Au Deluge is so I always like the word. I followed this Twitter account and it was called Deluge. And I thought it was Deluge, but Deluge works better. I'm trying to figure out if that's how I want to pronounce it or not. I like Deluge, but so it means like a wave. If you're talking about water, mostly like that's what it's mostly referred to as, like a flood or anything like that. But it can also mean like an intense emotion
Mm.
or feeling. And then the owl is from gold, like the element, the symbol for gold,
Oh,
AU. So it's like gold wave or like intense gold. I like gold and royalty and stuff like that.
yeah,
So that's what that means.
yeah. All right, that's what's up. Is gold like that just like you just like the royalty aspect of it, or like what does that color mean to you?
My second name change was Plain Goldest from a song called like that hasn't come out yet, and I don't think it will. I don't know. I don't know. It's tricky, but it's called You Sleep, and it's from like a collaborative project that my label has had on the shelf for years now. And I was like writing it out, and I said like roaming through Missouri in a plain gold tee, and um, sorry,
No, take your time.
and I always liked that bar, and the other person that I was talking to about it said he liked it. So my producer name was Plain Goldest, and then like I just like gold. Like I like what it represents more so than what it actually is. Because
Hmm.
like yellow in terms of colors isn't like I'm not too hot on it, but like my car is gold, my new car is gold, so it was just like I don't know, and it's a status symbol too. So
Hmm.
it's if you represent yourself in certain ways, people are going to take you like seriously if you take yourself seriously. So
Right.
as long as you value yourself, other people are going to value you too.
That's sick. That's what's up. Because you brought up the label, that's cultural deities, right?
Yes, sir. Cultural
How,
deities.
how many of there are you guys on there?
Well, the founder, Vera Coach Mendoza. Um, I live with him. We all live in Columbia, Missouri right now. And
Okay.
then we have an artist in St. Louis named Jay Beasy. There's an artist in Kansas City called OG the Menace. There's an artist in Buffalo, New York. His name is Drew Ivy. And there's Avion he's from Atlanta, but he lives in New York now.
Okay. And deity is like that's like a god or goddess of a way. Does religion play a huge any type of religion play a role in like when you're creating or your life in any way?
Hmm. It used to. I've had because we call ourselves cultural deities, and we thought of this term because it's so one, it's like eye catching because it's like really they're calling themselves gods, but at the same time, it's ironic because my relationship with God, with whatever you call God, has been very not strenuous. It's up and down.
Mm.
Sometimes I believe, sometimes I'm just like, it's whatever. But because And another thing about that, us calling ourselves cultural deities, is like how God can mean so much to one thing, or a deity or a religion. Like a lot of people like who are Muslim, they're not worried about like Jesus Christ. Like this probably isn't the most politically correct term of saying this, or anyway, but you know what? They're not worried about Jesus Christ or all of his disciples or anything. They're worried about Muhammad. You know what I mean? So it can mean so much to one person and so little to someone else, and that's a lot of like artists and musicians. So that's really where that name comes from. But in terms of how religion or a relationship with God plays a part of my music, it was something that I talked about. I talked about it a bit on Artful Cancer, but not much on this new project I dropped. And I've thought about I've thought about kind of revisiting it with my real debut album.
Okay. So this isn't like the debut album, because you said these songs were from a different project on Twitter, if I'm not mistaken. These were the ones that were professionally recorded.
Yeah,
I think it was
yeah.
your word. So was there like a process in sequencing these, like from track 1 to track what is it, 7 on there, or
There's
was it
like
just
I think there's 7.
yeah?
So this came from an album that I was going to release last summer called 19, and I pretty much produced every track and I wrote every track. I believe I wrote every track in college. The last track that I wrote was Belgium, the last track on the album, because that was like the end of I felt like the end of my college journey. I was only in college for a semester,
Right.
and so I recorded it all last March or April in one session at Fat Buddha Studios in St. Louis, Missouri. And the reason that I didn't finish it was I was in a relationship, and there was a lot of things that I like talk about in terms of having like in songs like Great Power and uh Belgium, I just say like just got moved into my girlfriend's house. Like everything on that is true, but the relationship ended and it felt like when I don't like spending a lot of time on projects because my life personally changes so much so fast that it feels disingenuous, and like I like to keep people up to date on what I'm going through music.
Mm-hmm.
So yeah, but honestly, I felt I really liked those tracks. I really did, and those are the only ones that I professionally recorded. So I was just like, and every time I played it for people, like we have a mutual friend, Gio,
My
and
man.
yeah, and so like he asked about it, and so I sent it to him, and he was really excited that I finally put them out.
Yeah.
So people that I played it for, they all liked it. So I was just like, I mean, I haven't dropped a really anything since Artful Cancer,
Yeah.
and I've spent time working on like 19. Then after that, I was working on Lovely Virgo, and then in between there, I was like kind of toying with sounds, making like little EPs for myself. That I think I released like one of them on my old SoundCloud, but yeah. Yeah, so the way that I sequence the album, sorry, I go on tangents and
No, me too.
I try to figure out where they come from and circle back around it.
No, for sure.
Um, where I started for the sequencing, the album did start with Theme, then it was Zooted, then it was Matt. Zooted was supposed to have a feature, but I didn't have like a real job. Like I had a job, but I was part-time and I had other stuff I had to take care of, so really the money that would have been going all to that went into the recording and just living. But
But
yeah, Zooted and then Match. And then after that I had to skip placement. So basically where everything was, I think Great Responsibility would have been before Cookie unless it already was. And yeah, so pretty much wherever you see them is how they would have fallen in order during the album, just with
Okay.
some more tracks in between them. Belgium was going to be the last track, and Theme was going to be the first track, regardless of whether or not uh, I cut out 8 songs or whatever. It was going to be 15 songs.
Oh, okay.
Yeah,
I feel that. Where are you from originally?
that's a tough question. So I was born in Bloomington, Indiana. I
Mm.
claim Bloomington, Indiana. It feels like home, but honestly, I don't have like a memory of living there. I was just born there. I lived there for 2 years. I lived in Indiana for 2 years, and my dad's a college basketball coach. So due to his job, we moved around a lot. It's pretty much like being a military brat, where
Okay.
I'm Indiana, then moved to Illinois, then moved to Texas, then moved back to Illinois, then moved to Ohio, then moved to Missouri, and then I graduated high school in Missouri. Then after that, I've kept up the tradition. So I stayed in Missouri, but I moved to Warrensburg, Missouri for college, then Columbia, Missouri after college with my ex-girlfriend, and then Kansas City with Viracocha, and then back to where I graduated from, Moberly, Missouri, to live with my friend's mom because I didn't want to move in with my parents in North Carolina at the time. But I guess I would have gone to. They live in Louisiana now. Before I went to college, they moved to North Carolina, and now they're in Louisiana. But
Mm.
uh, I moved in with my friend's mom in Moberly, and now I'm back in Columbia.
Wow. Well-traveled man. Do you think that had any effect on the music or your creative process, moving around
Absolutely.
as much? Yeah.
Absolutely. Like whenever I feel like a lot of my music is interpersonal.
Mm-hmm.
So I don't have a problem trying to gauge how others respond to me, but I'm usually not focused on how I'm feeling. I'm more focused on how other people are feeling around me. I feel like that's true for most people, I think. I don't know. But moving around so much and having to like worry about making friends and what other people think of you uh like very quickly so that you don't feel alone
Mm-hmm.
is important, and it's a skill that I learned. So instead of talking about my relationships with other people, which is something that I didn't really do on Artful Cancer, but
Mm-hmm.
I have kind of done on I did do a little bit on 19, was my relationships with other people. Um, which was a reason that it was kind of refreshing to write. But mostly that's just an outlier in terms of my music and my projects and my writing process. Is most of what I do is all internal because of how moving has kind of influenced my how I present myself outwardly.
When did you how did you start making music? And was it always this vulnerable, or was the vulnerability kind of came as you kept creating? Or is that like an intention of yours, I guess I should say, or does it come more naturally?
That's a good question. Um, so I wanted to be a rock star in first grade. I've always been like music has always been my like thing. And then I realized that I knew words to popular songs and other kids around me didn't.
Mm.
So I think it was just like words, language, and writing was really my thing. Music was just an easy way to like captivate the ear and like get people to remember stuff. So like when I was younger, like I would like if there was ever a movie that I would watch, it would annoy my parents. If there was a movie that I would watch when I was younger, and I'd like seen it before, I'd memorize like certain dialogue, so I would say the line before it happens, and it would just annoy them. And so it started off. Third grade was the first time was when I got into rap music, and I felt like it was easy. So I was like 8 years old, and I wrote my first rap song. I think it was called like Warpath or something like that.
Yeah.
And since then, I've been like, I wasn't like, I'm gonna make an album and record an album, but I've been writing. And my only introduction to rap music really was, aside from what, like, I don't recall, but my dad played like hip hop when I was younger, and I would do any sort of sing-songy part with him. But like Linkin Park, and Jay-Z's Collision Course album was like my introduction to hip hop. And then DJ Hero came out, and the commercial was Eminem doing My Name Is and Jay-Z doing H to the Izzo, I think.
Mm-hmm.
And I recognized H to the Izzo and not My Name Is, and then like I got into Eminem, and then that opened up the floodgates for like this obsession with lyrics and stuff like that. So I recorded my first project in middle school when I was in 8th grade. It was called A Box of Chocolates. And the songs that resonated more with people were like, I think there was one vulnerable song, and I was like kind of singing on it, but not really. I mean, I was just like, it was more so talking slowly. Like I had no reference for what like real singing on a song or anything like that would be. But yeah, it was called Abyss, and it was about like a relationship and falling really deep into it. And they were like the people that I played, like that's probably the lyrics on that song are my favorite, but these other songs with like more energy, more like I was just like it's just rapping for the sake of rapping.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like this lyrical miracle shit. Um
Yeah.
and that was what it was mostly. But after that it was then the second thing my second project was the misadventures, and that was relationships. That was like specifically one girl that my freshman high school mind was just fixated on,
Mm-hmm.
and I turned it into 15 songs because I was crazy. And all of that was like, oh, I feel so bad because you don't love me back, and I didn't love her. I didn't know what love was.
Right.
And so it was just, I guess whether or not it's never been easy for me to release music, but it's always been easier for me to write music that is personal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's why I'm very hesitant to release music, because when I feel like people judge my music, it's that they're judging me personally because of how personal it is, when I
Right.
know that it's not exactly like that. But or maybe it is. I don't know. I still struggle with it.
It's a
Um,
weird. I mean, I feel like a lot of artists have to deal with that, though. A lot of people who all use music as, for lack of a better term, like a therapeutic escape. Yeah, I think that's. I don't think you're alone on that. You know, I think it is a tough thing that Yeah, it's tough.
yeah,
I've never tried it, so I can't really speak on
yeah,
it.
I mean that's exactly what it is. There is really no better term than it really was. Like it really is therapeutic for me, and it's like cathartic. I went my junior year of high school. I went to see a therapist, and I told her I was like, I love making music, but I don't feel like, but I feel like if I ever stop being like sad or depressed, that my music is going to get worse, because that's what most of it is about. And so that's always been like a big thing for me, is trying to figure out how to write when I'm not sad or when I'm like happy. And that was another thing about 19 or Au Deluge, is like those songs aren't depressing, I don't think. So like Great Power, Great Responsibility has like stakes, but the rest of it's pretty, I don't know, turnt, or just
Right.
rapping, you know what I mean? Like I'm just like rapping on it.
Mm.
Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Um, so you were saying that writing kind of came first, but when did you start making beats? And when you're making them, do you have verses in mind, or do you usually write better when you have a beat already?
I used to write before I used to write songs and then try to find beats to fit the songs. And that's sometimes it works out like perfectly and other times it's just like most of the time it's just a mess. But I started producing in I want to say like I started making my first beats in like 2017,
Okay.
2016, and they were all like, I mean, just like anybody else, I assume they're all trash. Like I wouldn't even want to listen to them now just to see how much better I've gotten.
Hmm.
But uh then it it really started taking off because I could only like it was my friend's computer in his like at his mom's house in like this office area that we all would like mess around in. So I would do it like once every 2 weeks. I would make a beat or something,
Hmm.
and then Viracocha got me a laptop whenever it was like his like it was like it was like he got his taxes back April 2018, and he got me or maybe it was before that, but he got me the laptop that I'm like calling you on now,
Okay.
and he since then I just got like a cracked version of FL and um started for like downloading packs and finding loops and samples and haven't really looked back at all. So I've been producing seriously for like 2 years now.
Okay. Are you more, do you like look for samples? I didn't really notice any samples on this newest project. I could be wrong, but
There are.
would you say your producing process is like?
It's to me, it's whatever sounds good. Like
Okay.
if it sounds good and I like it, then I don't care if it's a sample or if it's a loop. There are no real samples on Fee, but they're all loops. Some of them are from like Splice. Some of them are from there's this group called Cymatics that release packs, but all of the only thing that are loops are the like anything that's like melodic, but the percussion is all me. The percussion is all just something that I put together and composed.
Okay. Do you want to talk about the title of the project? What is it? Fee? Is that how you pronounce it?
Yeah, Fide Luge. So Au Deluge is like gold, and Fide Luge is iron, and iron is in blood. And I'm gonna release another project on Bandcamp only, but I'm gonna be pretentious because I don't want to release it. I just feel like it should be out there so I can get my mind off of it. So
Okay.
I'm gonna release it on Bandcamp for like a ton of money, and you won't be able to stream it beforehand. And if anybody buys it, they're dumb or they just really love me. And it's Na Deluge, Na Deluge, and it's so and Na is the chemical element symbol for salt, which is found in tears and like sweat. So it's like blood, sweat, and tears.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's crazy. I gotta step my chemistry table up. I don't know. I didn't know. I didn't recognize any of that. Um, so when do you, because you said you kind of have trouble releasing music, do you have trouble like finishing the songs, or like do you have a moment when you hear a song and you're like, all right, this is enough, this is done?
I never know when anything is finished,
Okay.
really. Like I'm always like something could be better, something could be added, something could be taken away. And like a lot of like I don't know what people expect from me, and not in like sound, but in terms of like quality. So if I think something is okay, most of the people around me are going to be like, no, this is great, this is done, you don't need to change it. But I'm like, I don't know, it's just nagging. Like when it comes to my music, I'm a perfectionist, but also at the same time, I'm really what I would consider perfect is not perfect to what I think most people is. Like I've like not Au Deluge is very loud, like they're
Hmm.
really loud mixes. And when I was playing it on a speaker, I couldn't figure out if it was clipping or if it was just the speaker not connecting to the Bluetooth. And it's done that every time, but I've also played other songs and it's done that, but I've played it on other speakers and they like kind of cut out, so it's just really confusing.
Hmm.
And I don't know. I like abrasiveness, so there's like it's like a very small, like it's like a very small detail that might annoy people, but I think it's like I like it. Like I don't know. Um, yeah, I don't know when songs are done. I have no idea when projects are done. I don't like releasing singles. I like releasing just projects. So whenever I have like a project in mind, um, I plan a track list before, which I mean, it never stays the same.
Hmm.
But the feel and the sentiment behind what I'm saying all stays true. I'll just be like, I'll title this song this, and it's gonna be about that. This is a cool song title. I can make it about this. Um, and then like I feel like subconsciously I already know what's going to happen. I just try to figure it out. I try to figure it out before I realize it. If that makes sense,
Right.
maybe I don't know.
I get it.
Um, I'm trying to like plan like breakthroughs and realizations, which is weird.
Yeah.
But yeah, the real trouble that I have is making is being able to make the beats that I want to make, like the beats that I hear myself on, because every time I start a project, it's me wanting to do something that I have no idea how to do.
Hmm.
So, and as I try to make it, I learn as I make the album, and that's what really takes me so long between releases is just learning how to do what I want to do to make something, and then most of the time when I learn something cool that I like, I apply it to other stuff that I am making, like maybe for other people or for like a side project for fun or something that's just for me. Um, and then that kind of changes my perspective on what I'm making, and it's just like that's just the creative process is very fluid. Like
Hmm.
I have a plan, but it never goes
Right.
100. It doesn't even go like 30% as to what I plan out, which is more fun for me because it makes me discover new things about myself, and like learning things to help me would eventually like make me a better collaborator with other artists as well.
Yeah. I mean, that makes sense because you always you like we were saying, you're very vulnerable in your music, and people change on a dime's notice. You know what I mean? So I
Hmm.
think I think it's a great creative process. I think it's really interesting that you're able to kind of shift and always try new things. So I always like, and you can definitely notice like the progression from your first project that I heard 2 years ago to this one. You know what I mean? Like you sound like, I don't want to say more confident, but you sound like you're saying like it's more abrasive, a little bit more aggressive and everything like that.
Oh yeah, I was way more confident. My first, that was like, because I recording the one that you heard, Artful Cancer. That
Mm.
was probably my third time being in a studio,
Okay.
and I did it all. I did all of that except for like two tracks that made it to the mixtape. I did all of that in the same session, so we didn't take time to really do a bunch of retakes. We had like one 7 hour take or 7 hour session in Kansas City. Um, at oh, I forgot what he called it, but Rolla D. He changed. He records from his home now, but he had like a studio up in Kansas City, separate from his house. But yeah, we did like a 7 hour session with Rolla D, and I just didn't stop. And it was very similar to what I did with this, where I just did it all in one session, didn't stop. But my takes were better, and my confidence was a lot higher because of the reception from Artful Cancer. I was like, oh, people actually like this.
Right.
So yeah, with every release, I feel more confident because people give me more props and they say things like, you got better at this and you got better at that, and this sounds better. So, and I want to do that with every release that I have, which is another reason why I'm so critical of myself and the music I make, and my just my release, and why my release schedule is just to be determined at all times.
Yeah, definitely. You talk about like listening to mixes and stuff like that, like how they're clipping on speakers. Do you mix your own stuff?
No,
Okay.
I'll make demos for myself, but other than that, uh wherever I'm recording, like Terrence White mixed all of not Au Deluge. Yeah,
Okay.
Terrence White, all of that.
Cool. You also talked about like kind of playing it for people and people kind of giving you like a little bit of a nudge to kind of start releasing stuff. Is that people at the label that you're with, or is it like, because I know that's just kind of like you and your friends, but like, do you have like a strong community like that? I guess is the question.
I have people whose opinion on music I trust and I feel like would tell me if something was not good.
Mm-hmm.
I keep calling him beer coach. I'm just calling Brandon, but Brandon is like that for me. He's big on that. He tells me when things are dope that I don't like, that I like might make just for fun. He's like, no, that's dope, and I'm like, yeah. So I don't release it. But I have friends who like hate rap, so I'll play it for them, and they're like, that's not bad. You know? But most of the time, I don't know. Like, it's tricky. I feel like because I can't help but think that most of the time people support me because they're my friend or because we get along. So they don't want to like crush my dream, even though if they said they didn't like it, I'd just be like, okay, I'll just make something else instead. Like, I don't know what they're like. I don't know what other people think making music is, but like, I don't know. Like, but yeah, there are people I trust
Yeah.
who I feel like would tell me like, work on this. I don't know about that line, or you should say something else, or I don't like that beat. Yeah,
Yeah.
I don't know.
I feel that. Because you always talk about, or you seem to talk a lot about how many like songs you record that don't come out. Do you just have like a huge stash of songs, or do you like kind of create in like waves, I guess I should say, or are you just constantly recording?
It comes and goes. The songs that I talk about they're all just demos. Most of them are like they'd be like a phrase that I make up on the spot, and then I record that, and then like I freestyle mumble like a flow or something, and then from that I would write the song. So that's mostly what I mean. Like I have more beats that I don't use or haven't used or just recorded over for reference than like complete like finished songs.
Yeah.
So yeah, I've written more songs than I've made beats for and stuff like that.
Okay. So that project you're dropping on Bandcamp, is that like set in stone done, or are you still working on that?
It's not done, but it's gonna be released. They're all demos. They're all demos. It's just like I feel like I just need to get it out because I feel like it's weighing me down because my mind is still when I release music, whatever I talk about and whatever I'm thinking about when I'm making it, it's just like, okay, done.
Mm-hmm.
There is like the project that I'm releasing on Bandcamp eventually is was called The Lovely Virgo. It was it was going to be a sequel to Artful Cancer that was going to be 19, which is Fide Luce. Like this is Fide Luce. And now it's not Deluge. And it was just about, it was going to be about like my relationship and how from being heartbroken and most of it about being like depressed and Artful Cancer and heartbroken to being like in a happy relationship and a good relationship. Then we broke up. So The Lovely Virgo is like heartbreak. Like the way I describe it is, and it's a line on the album that nobody hears because nobody should buy it for whatever. I'm gonna put it up there like $100. It's called I say it's like heartbreak in real time. So a lot of people, I feel like when they're heartbroken, they go immediately to just like complete. Their first instinct isn't to like write 9 songs about it. You know what I mean? So that's what I did. I just wrote 9 songs. I wrote all of them in Kansas City in a month, and Brandon Viracocha Mendoza, he and I produced the entire thing. I recorded all the demos in Moberly at my friend's mom's house, and there were supposed to be features that I just didn't put on the album.
Mm-hmm.
So so what's up? Uh and oh, and so yeah, it's incomplete. The album doesn't have closure, but like the album like is my closure.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I still think about it, and I'm just like, once I put this album out, and it's not even going to be done, but I just need to get that out of my system so I can start wanting to write about something else.
Mm-hmm.
And that's really what I need to like. That's just what I need to do. So
Right.
even if nobody hears it, it's good enough for me.
But just the fact that it's like been released and it's out in the world for someone to hear it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, like if someone really does choose to pay like $100 to listen to terrible quality demos of me being angry and upset and forgiving and understanding and something about this person, then like thank you. Like that's all, I mean, that's all I can say. But yeah, it's allowing people the opportunity to hear me out, I guess. Yeah.
Okay. What went into the decision to put it up for that much money, for like $100? Because you see people do it and it works. You know what I mean? Like
It does work.
I mean,
It does work. I think just doing that is just because there's just, it's so personal, and a lot of people that I know would want to hear like my thoughts or something, but it's all like outdated. Like I said, it's heartbreak in real time, so it's all super impulsive and emotional, and sometimes immature, sometimes too mature, I would say. And I don't know, just put it out for $100 because I don't want, because it's not, it's truthfully because it sounds bad, and I just don't want to record better mixes or rewrite anything or have to pay for features to finish it. It's kind of a bastardization of art, but it's also just like it's kind of like, really, it's like a Pollock piece to me.
mm-hmm.
You know, like he's just throwing stuff on on his canvas, like with intention, but at the same time, it is imperfect.
Right.
So yeah, it's just my high art piece of demo quality recordings, but probably the most heartfelt album I've ever written.
Oh wow.
Yeah.
That's interesting. I'm happy to hear that for sure. I'll drop the 100. I don't care.
You don't need to do that, dude. I'll if you really want to hear it, I'll send it to you. You don't need to do that.
I'll support the homies. That's what I'm here to do. So how many of those demos? Because you say you got a lot of demos. How many of those turn into?
Okay. Sorry.
No, you're good. You got it. How many demos that you record turn into full songs, or is there like a balance in there at all?
I'd say my just demo to completed songs ratio might be like for every finished song that I have, I probably have like 18 demos of songs that just aren't gonna come out ever. Yeah.
Wow. Not why do you think that is, but do you think it's just part of your creative process, being able to have these ideas kind of tucked away?
Yeah, it's like practice.
Okay.
Yeah, it's like practice. Or if I do have like something that's sticky and I can just like, you know what, I came up with this idea a while ago. Let me go try to find that and see if I can apply that to this new song or album, whatever. And it's like practice or just like upgrading like your arsenal. You know what I mean? The more that you try, the more things you try to do, the wider your range will be. So I have like demos of me like actually trying to sing, and I also have demos of me like just messing around with flows and voices and I'll be like, that actually doesn't sound bad. So I'll try to do something similar to that on the song and stuff. So that's mostly what I do demos for.
Okay. More like experimentation type stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Sure. Because you mentioned now, and then you mentioned it, I forget what song on this project, but you talk about like wanting to do singing lessons, and you just talked about how on some of the songs you're trying to sing. Is that something you're trying to do? Is that like where you see your music going? Like do you ever see yourself doing a full project of you just vocally singing?
Dude, I would love that. I would love that if I had the confidence for real. I really want to be a singer. That'd be so sick. That's what I feel like a lot of like what I used to write more so than now, because I can like differentiate between writing a rap song and writing like a singer songwriter type stuff. It's just like that's what I listen to mostly anyway, is like an R&B. I listen to like R&B, soul, pop, like, but not like pop, like electronic, like Charlie XCX type pop. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's where like I want to be able to do that. Like I don't want it to be like my endpoint, but to be able to like be a chameleon in terms of I can do anything that you need me to do on this album, on this song, for this demo, for whatever. And the same way with beats too. Like I want to be able to I want anybody to be like, who can do this for me? And someone's like, oh, Isaiah or Aldi or Al or whatever. You know what I mean? That's important to me, is diversity, flexibility, and just being like a jack of all trades.
Right.
Yeah.
That's what's up. That's interesting. I like that idea, honestly, because that's kind of like I feel like even in the old group chat we used to kind of fan out about Frank Ocean. I think me and you were sort of the Frank Ocean fanatics.
That was you and I.
He's the first person that comes to mind when you talk about someone who's able to kind of pull different skills and everything out of that little bag of talent he has over there, because he's a god. But you bring up the Charlie XCS album. What else have you been? Because she just dropped that album like what is it, a couple days ago, last Friday.
That repeat nonstop. Yeah.
Easy. I like that C 2.0 John that she had on there.
That's hard.
I like that. What else have you been listening to?
So I listen to music that puts me in a mood to create on the spot. So I've been going out on with with everything going on now. We haven't really dated this interview, but like with everything going on now, like I used to not go on walks or anything, but I've really been just dying and I've been dying to do anything. So I've been going on like super long walks and playing this playlist of artists that make me want to record, or not record, but like create in a certain type of headspace. So I'm listening to artists like Charlie XCX, Trees Low Key from Virginia, Chloe, which is a like electronic duo, like I call it like soultronic. So like she's like singing over like house and stuff like that. It's an electronic duo from New Zealand. I've been listening to JPEG Mafia.
Mm.
I've been listening to Frank Ocean and a producer that he works with named Vegan, who released a project not too long ago. Um, I'm listening to Brent Faiyaz. I've been listening to After Hours a lot and My Dear Melancholy. I didn't listen to My Dear Melancholy when it came out, but I really should have because that album's cool or that EP is really cool.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, like I'm moving, like I want to move toward a more electronic sound, more something that's like way more synthetic and way more high energy, or yeah, just like just constantly. I want it to feel alive. I want my next album, my first album, to really feel alive.
Okay.
Yeah.
Can you talk about because you just talked about the inspiration you get from music, but then you also compared your project to that painter where he just throws it against the canvas and everything like that, kind of this chaotic mess.
Yeah.
Do you draw inspiration from a lot of different arts, or is it mostly like what do you sit down and like try to get inspired from besides just other artists and music?
I get inspired by painters and like a movie that I might see or something like that. Like mostly painters. Like when I was making Artful Cancer, I was really into Jean-Michel Basquiat. I actually released it on his birthday, I think. Yeah,
Wow.
December 22nd is when I released it, and that's either his birthday or the day he died. I'm pretty sure it was his birthday. I like to celebrate life, but yeah. And then for like 19 or Au Deluge, or for 19 and for Lovely Virgo, I watched like a Jackson Pollock documentary, and uh, yeah, I do that with every project. It's just I don't know. It's just a really weird uh, thing that moves me is understanding the mind of another artist who, or trying to understand the mind of another artist who's like in some cases like a savant, and trying to get inspiration from that, and then just put how they make me feel into my music and my attitude while I'm recording music. Yeah.
Definitely. Uh, Damn, I lost my question. You say you wanted your music to be a little bit more like alive.
Yeah.
What is I guess this is kind of like a weird metaphorical one, but what does like life mean to you? Or what does like living a good life, what does that entail to you?
Like in terms of music,
Anything, just any type
anything. What is
yeah,
life? Life is like getting up. Life is just being. And I don't feel like a lot of people are being. I think they're stuck and trying to catch up, if that makes sense.
yeah,
And I feel like everyone does to an extent. Most people do to an extent, but I'm just trying to be present and not be behind. So in terms of Music, I mean, like, I produced a song the other day where the drum pattern does not repeat once.
Oh
It's
wow.
it's just constant, different, like it's just constantly changing. Besides, like the snare staying on time, the hats don't repeat anything, and the kicks don't repeat anything, and the open whatever. So just like constant progression and moving forward, because it's another like it's being alive is like going places you've never been and traveling and just being on the move. Life is like okay. Life is like to me, life is mobility.
Mm.
So yeah, it's just mobility. It's just constantly moving, not
But
stopping. And a lot of people stop to look at the flowers and stuff, but like to me, I'm like, there's gonna be more flowers. I don't know. You know what I mean?
yeah.
So yeah.
No, I feel that. I definitely understand that. I think it's. I feel where you come from, but I also think it's important to kind of be in the moment in some cases. You know what I mean? Like after you leave the project, to kind of like be able to live with that project. I'm sure is it's great because that's what I like to do. Like before I go into like before I talk to you, I listen to the project like probably 100 times and like in different scenarios, like on my laptop when I was riding my bike, either in like in my car and everything like that. And I think it's yeah, I think I like stopping and like kind of being around something for a while comparatively to what you're talking about. But I feel what you're talking about, well, like you can't just sit there at the same time. You know what I mean?
Yeah, people, because like there's like a danger to that, and it's just being
Mm.
stagnant. Like people that I know, that it's like people do that with like high school. Like that's
Oh,
like their career days, and they're in their 20s. Like, dude, like
yeah.
I don't know. It's just like I had like high school was cool for me. I mean, I'm not gonna sit here and talk about it all the time, but yeah, no, I feel you, and
Yeah.
I have moments. You know, we all have moments, but I make an effort to. I feel like the difference is I make an effort to not do that because I feel like if I do that, I'll get stuck. And one thing that I really don't want to do is get stuck ever on anything.
But
So that's why that's important to me.
yeah, I feel that. I was thinking more in terms of like consuming art because I feel like I used to flip through albums real quick just to kind of
Oh,
say I listened to it and stuff like that. So I kind of
yeah.
I'm slowing down in that sense, being able to kind of live with a project more and everything like that here in the different environments because I feel like that's important. Is that
Yeah,
would
I
you?
get fixated on projects. Yeah, like when I heard, like we talked about Frank Ocean earlier, like when I heard Blonde for the first time, that's like my favorite album. That was like like Kanye said, that was my album of the life. I mean, everything that I did, I related to Blonde in some way, and that's funny to talk about that because I'm trying to write a movie about what we're talking about, kind of specifically relating to music and art and experiencing art. So that's just yeah, yeah. I stick with projects. I don't stick with my own projects.
But
Now that like now that not now that Au Deluge is out, I don't want to hear it like ever again. And that's weird. And I think that's weird to for like me. I feel like a lot of artists like their music, and I don't dislike it, but I just don't listen to it.
okay. Do you live with it at all, like before you release it? Is there like do you kind of do like some people do like car test, I guess you can call it, where like they'll listen to it and like I'm talking about kind of like in different environments. Is there a moment before the project comes out where you kind of do something similar or
Yeah, yeah, there is. I listen to it. I play it for people. I play it in certain different settings,
yeah?
see how it relates, and yeah, yeah. I made Zooted like specifically for a live. Like if I were to ever to perform this album for any reason, I made Zooted for a live setting,
Mm.
and the only thing I cared about is if it would go hard live, and so I like lied on like 90% of the song just to see if it would be able to breathe on its own. So yeah, as much as I don't like the lyrics on that song, like it's not that I don't like it. It's just that it feels like I mean I'm lying. Like I don't like party or anything like that. and that's very much a song that you would like play at a party if it were
Mm,
mixed, if it were mixed better, maybe. I don't know. It's definitely a feeling. That song is a feeling.
right.
So that's what I was going for more on that track. And I felt that feeling was more important than substance when I made it.
Okay. You said you were writing a movie. Is that the writing process similar to when you're writing music, or how do those two compare? Or
I,
if there's a similarity?
what?
I said if there's a similarity at all. I was
I'm not
asking.
sure. I'm not sure if there is because I've like written I've written like two scripts for like just my friends and I being dumb and like planning this like a dumb movie. But I want this to be like a real movie made with some friends that I made in college. And the writing process is it is a very personal project. So I would say in terms of what it makes me feel is similar. However, the way I approach it is just it's not like super similar.
Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah. How far, because you keep bringing up the debut project, how far along are you on that?
I have no idea. It's just I never know. I think
Okay.
I have one song. I have one beat that is just like that I'm using this. This is going to be on the album. I'm going to write this song. It's going to be on the album. It's going to be the lead single. It might be on the radio. It might be a hit. It might be. I don't know. It's hard telling, and it's really weird to like think that about yourself. But that's all that's set in stone for now. And I wanted there to be like 15 songs, and then I was like, well, what if it was 13? And then I'm like, well, it could be 17. And right now, I have this one beat from a producer from the UK named Soldado,
Mm,
and it's I didn't lease it. I didn't just I bought it exclusively. It's my beat. No one else will use it. And I had like when I heard it, I had the day he posted it. I got that beat. I had to make sure that I had it, and
mm,
I need to treat it with more care than I had with any other song that I've ever made. And yeah, it's gonna be special.
okay.
So with my project, I wanted to release it this summer, but it's nowhere close to done because I had a new idea for like the sound I was going to use for this project. I had a new idea and theme to make the sound a lot better and more up to date with how I'm living my life. So I would say, like, I want to say next summer, but at the same time, I'm constantly learning how to do new things, and uh, it could either be depending on my like rate of growth. It could be sooner, it could be later, but right now the happy medium is like next summer, maybe.
Okay. I feel that. But there's no need to rush anything. That's kind of the great thing about art is that like it's supposed to reflect you. So if it's reflecting you, if you like to take your time with stuff, then like that makes sense. So like a project would take a while. You know what I mean?
Absolutely, and it would be the first. It would be like this is the first project that I'm taking my time on, like for real. Because like I said, I wrote all of Au Deluge, Love You Virgo. I did that in a month. I did this last project in like probably like it was my like I produced everything and then wrote everything between probably October 2018 to January 2019.
Mm.
So it's just short. And like Artful Cancer, like I recorded all of it, and I recorded all of Not Illusion a Day. I recorded all of Artful Cancer in 2 studio sessions, but like 13 of those songs were in one day. And then I had a mixtape before that called The Misadventures, and I wrote 10 of those songs in one day.
Oh wow.
And yeah, like when I get like, and it's just an intense feeling of like, okay, I need to do this now, or it's going to go away, and I just won't get this ever again. But instead of putting that into projects, what I want to do with that feeling now is put it into a beat and then put it into a song.
Mm.
So that way I can have more passionate, just instead of just having a passion project, it's like like he really wanted to make this song. He really cares about this song. I really care about this song. I really care about this song. And that's what's really important to me now is being like, this is the album I want to make, but no, these are all the songs that I wanted to make, and the album is as good as I could have made it be.
I feel that. Because you said did you produce all of this last one of Fade Illusion?
Yeah.
Okay, and then you were saying you were working with different producers on this debut. Is the writing process similar when you're writing to your beat or to a different person's beat, or is it just you have your writing process and it kind of fits everything?
I feel like with other people's music, I'm less see because when I make a song, I hear the song before I make it. But but like I'm not like trying to predict what other people have made, you know.
Mhm.
So my my writing process would be the same, but in terms of like how I react to what I'm actually hearing is a lot different.
Okay. Okay. So just I guess kind of wrapping up here. What do you have? It's the Bandcamp project coming out, and then the debuts after that. Is there anything in between?
I don't know. Probably not. I hope not
Hmm.
because I want to because I've been working on this project since March, maybe March, February, and then yeah. So I've been working on this next project since March or February. You want to know like it's not a secret. It's called Smile Through. I've been
Okay.
working on Smile Through um since like February, March. I've had this idea for it, and like I want it to be my main focus but like my main musical focus because I really want to do this movie. I really want to do this movie.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, hopefully after this, I'll probably just put it out and say it's out. Not the album, but all the Bandcamp thing. I'll probably put it on like, guys, it's out. Here, if you want to, I don't want you guys to hear it, but if you want to listen to it, it's $100. And yeah, but Smile Through is definitely going to be my focus, and I really don't want to lose focus of that. Besides maybe producing projects for other people, but in terms of like myself and my solo career, uh, Smile Through 2020 something, 21, 22, 23. I don't know. Hopefully sooner than later, but I mean,
Yeah, it's all part of the process.
yeah.
I feel that. Well, I appreciate the time and everything like that, man.
Of course, dude. No, I'm glad you wanted to do this. This is awesome. I had a lot of fun.
Yeah, man. This was yeah. Shout out. What was it? Easy taught me. Was that the
Easy
first one?
taught me. Yeah, man.
All,
That's sick.
all the boys
Years in the making.
for sure, man. I'm just gonna hit stop recording.